back at it again with another banger video. This time we're going to be looking at Crisis on Infinite Earths. This is part 1 in a 12-part series where we'll be looking at each issue of this book. This is probably one of the most important comics of the past 40 years, especially in DC Comics. Crisis, the name Crisis has come to be synonymous with event comics, but this is the original. You know, this is what started it all and really gave birth to the whole multiverse idea that we see in pretty much everything nowadays. But this is by Marv Wolfman, drawn by George Perez. This collection has an introduction by Marv Wolfman where he talks about the idea, where it came from, how he came to work at DC Comics and was given the opportunity to tell this story. This comic really served two purposes. The first purpose was to clarify the continuity of DC Comics. You know, at this point, DC had been around for about 50 years. So they had gone through the Golden Age, the Silver Age, the Bronze Age, and now they were wanting to clarify for new readers, you know, what was canon, what's considered not canon. The second focus of the series was to introduce these newly obtained characters, the Charlton characters. You can see a mixture of them here. Old characters, new characters. Charlton was another publisher back in the day, and they had their own characters. DC bought Charlton Comics and wanted to introduce the Charlton characters into their world so that they could have like crossovers with, you know, their mainline superheroes of Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. So that's why a character like Blue Beetle here, you'll see Blue Beetle in the Justice League. Or there's a new Blue Beetle movie out now. You won't find any DC books before 1985 with the Blue Beetle in it. That's because in 1985, DC acquired the rights to Blue Beetle. So that was the second main focus of this series. So we'll end the preamble and we'll just get into the story now. So this character here, we'll come to know him. His name is Pariah, and he's been showing up on these different Earths here. This explains the birth of the multiverse, and he's been showing up to each Earth right as it's being destroyed. He is sort of you know, the witness. He's cursed to appear at the Earth right before the apocalypse, and he has to watch as all of humanity dies over and over again. And it's not explained in this first chapter why, but we will figure out why. Okay, it takes us to Earth 3. This is an Earth that did exist before this book. It's the one with the crime syndicate instead of the Justice League. So the Justice League is evil on this Earth. They're called the crime syndicate. The version of Superman, his name's Ultraman. There's a version of Green Lantern called Power Ring. Wonder Woman is called Superwoman. The Flash is Johnny Quick. And Batman is Owlman. And the only good guy, the only superhero on this Earth is Lex Luthor. There he is. And, you know, it's a kind of a role reversal for these characters. The Earth is coming to an end. Even the bad guys are trying to save people and trying to save the Earth because they realize that their lives are at stake too. Lex Luthor rushes home. He lives in this observatory place. He's married to Lois Lane, and they have a son together. And they realize that the Earth is ending, and they need to save their. They realize that they can't save themselves, so they're going to save their son, which mirrors Superman's origin story in the regular universe. So the white nothingness is consuming everything. There's nothing that anyone can do to slow it down or stop it. They put Lex Luthor puts his son in this like top looking thing, and it's supposed to vibrate at a different frequency to take him to a different dimension. All these different Earths vibrate at different frequencies, and that's why they all exist on top of each other, but vibrate at different frequencies. If you can vibrate at a different frequency, you can move from Earth to Earth. So that's their plan to save their son, is that they're going to put him in this top and spin it and send him to a different universe. Ultraman commits suicide. He just flies right into the whiteness. He just gives up on trying to fight it. The top sends the baby Lex to this other world. The summoning. We are taken to a new character. This character is Harbinger. And we see her talking to someone off panel. We don't know who she is yet. He calls her Lila. We come to know her as Harbinger later. But she can divide herself, like split herself into different people. And it's that way she can be in multiple places at once. And she's right here. She spreads herself over the different worlds to gather up different people. So this one goes to Gorilla City. She meets King Solivar. This is her in her costume. And she's recruiting these people. She goes to the future. The metropolis of the 30th century. And she recruits this person called, what's her name? Dawnstar, one of the Legion of Superheroes. And she goes back in time to 1942 on Earth 2. So Earth 3 was the one with the crime syndicate. Earth 1 is the main world that we're used to seeing. Earth 2 is the Golden Age Earth. That's where the stories from the 30s through 1960 happen. So she recruits this character. Her name is Firebrand. So they bring her along. We meet Blue Beetle for the first time. We see she's flying, Harbinger's flying through like this Antarctic place. And she kind of gets like attacked by this shadow person, and her eyes go black like she's been possessed or something. This is just one version of her. And it leaves off there. Later in this chapter, we'll see that come back. So we cut to like a mental hospital here. And Harbinger is recruiting this guy. His name's Psycho Pirate. And he's insane because the mask that he wears his powers have driven him crazy. And when he puts on this mask, he's able to feel and change people's emotions. And it's very painful for him, but once he starts, he can't stop. He can't control himself. Then we go back 45,000 years to Atlantis, and we meet this magician guy, and we recruit him too. And this is all to serve a purpose. This is all to, form a team of like the ultimate heroes who can save the Earth, save the multiverse from collapsing. We see Firestorm. He was still a relatively new character, I think, at this point. So they're all brought back to this space station. We see the first hint of who this is. This is all the people at the space station. We've got Superman. We've got Dr. Polaris, Blue Beetle, Simon, and they're being watched by these shadow people. They get attacked, they fight off the shadow people. You know, they're really not a match. Like, these shadow people, they're winning the fight. The shadow people are winning the fight against them, but then all of a sudden they turn back and retreat. And it turns out it was all a plan by this guy, the Monitor. So the Monitor was the one that we saw a hint of earlier. Back on this page. Back on this page. Back on this page. Yeah, there it is. He's the one that's been sending out Harbinger to collect all these heroes. And he's the one that's leading the force for good that's going to try and stop the collapse of all these universes. So that's the big reveal of this issue 1, is what we see sort of like the main force for good in this series. So I forgot to mention the possession thing. So when Harbinger, all of her separate forms come back together, you know, she's really tired, exhausted from using her powers, but she's brought back that shadow creature inside of her. So, you know, hopefully that doesn't come back to bite us at any point. But this is the end of issue 1, and I'm going to continue this series issue by issue until we complete the whole book, you know, and I'll try and explain it as we go to the best of my abilities. It is confusing, and it's made to, the whole purpose of this book was to make it less confusing. So hopefully me reading it to you will help clarify some things. Anyways, let me know what you think of this video. Like, comment, subscribe, all that junk, and thank you. Bye.